Right, hello, and we're back with another tier list video. Oh, wow! But this time, we're not looking at anything 92 related. We're actually focusing in on my beloved Nottingham Forest and taking a look at the players and their performances so far this season. At the time of recording, we have not yet played Villa. That is our next game. Just come off a very impressive victory at Old Trafford. So that's always nice to see. But I'm going to be looking at the current squad and we're going to be ranking each of these players based on their season they've had so far. And yeah, let's just jump into it. So we've got about 6 or 7 tiers here. We're going to start off with injury. So players that have been injured and haven't been able to really showcase themselves this season, they'll go in there. And then we've got the sell category. So players I think we should sell. Loan, players I think we should loan out for some game time or for better development. Solid, just solid players. You've got a squad player, so players that are in around the squad. Key players, so players that I think are important to our squad. And then nailed on, which are players that will be the first names on the team sheets when Nuno is cooking those up. So yeah, let's just jump into it. And I think, first things first, Matt Sells is nailed on. He's currently at undisputed number 1 and for a good reason because he's been making some amazing performances this season. Yeah, he's just really gone up a level since last season and unfortunately for Carlos Miguel, he's really just keeping him out of the side. So there's not really much you can do there. Carlos Miguel, he was the keeper we bought in from Brazil. He's like 6'7" or something crazy like that. But unfortunately, he's just not had enough game time to really showcase how he can play. He played in our Carabao Cup against Newcastle, which we unfortunately lost. And he made some pretty good saves there, to be fair. So he'll go in solid. He definitely needs more game time, but he's our number 2 for good reason. Definitely in the cups, at least, he's going to start those cup games. Good player in there. We just need to play him a bit more, but there's not really an option for that. So he'll go in solid for now. And then we've got Morato. So until we lost to Manchester City, Morato had the very interesting distinction of not conceding a goal in a Nottingham Forest shirt because he always came off the bench around the 80-minute mark to shut up things and make sure we didn't lose. But he's unfortunately contesting that spot with both Murillo and Milenkovic, who have been really, really good players this season. So unfortunately for him, it's not looking too good at the moment. But he's a very good player. 100% a squad player, and I think with a bit more time, maybe a few tweaks in formation, maybe cup games as well, he'll see a lot more game time. But he's definitely a squad player. Don't need to get rid of him. Murillo nailed on 100%. The centre back pairing with him and Milenkovic, we'll stick Milenkovic in as well. 2 very good centre backs. Them and Matt Sells have made a brilliant defensive unit this season, so I've got no real complaints. I'd like to see Murillo score more goals. Both him and Milenkovic have scored 1, which is some good going. But yeah, love to see Murillo do some more of those mazy runs like he did against Palace when he first came on. So yeah, 2 very good players that I'm very happy to have at the club, although we're probably going to see Murillo leave at the end of the season. Nico Williams, it's tough for Nico because currently he is a squad player and has not been used that much this season. But the games he's come on, he's been really good. And we are basing it off of this season's performances, so it's a tough one because he's got Alex Moreno for competition, bought in on loan from Villa, who is also a very good player. So I think currently Nico is a squad player, but we saw against Manchester United, he was good. Yeah, he's put some good performances this season, but he's just, been shoved out of that position by Moreno. Amon Bamidele, he needs a loan, quite frankly. He played quite a bit last season. Not played much this season, only started the cup game, and he had a decent performance to be fair. But the lad's young, he needs game time to really develop, and I don't think he'll get that at the moment with Forest. I don't think we should sell him because he is a good player, and he's definitely one to keep for the future, 100%. But I think he'd definitely benefit from a loan, maybe a lower Prem side or even a Championship team could really utilise him well. Keep him for sure, good player in there, but yeah, he needs a loan to get some game time. And then move on to Harry Toffolo, who is also a very solid player. Much like Carlos Miguel, not had a lot of game time this season. But last season he was very, very good and filled in when needed. Not really seen that much game time this season. And fair enough, we've got players in that position who can do a better job than him, I think. But he's a very good lad. Great to have around the dressing room, I imagine. Does a lot for mental health awareness around the club as well, which is always good. And he's just got the experience as well. From a this season standpoint, he's not had enough game time to really give him anything higher than solid. But, he's a solid player, and I wouldn't mind keeping him. Then we've got Eric De Silva Moreira. Again, much like Bamidele, has not had much game time. He's actually finally getting some Premier League minutes recently, but I'm not sure how we continue to play him because, again, he has competition for his position and he's quite young as well. I don't really know how Nuno plans to use him. So just from my perspective, I think a loan will do him a lot of good. Like I said, maybe a championship loan, get him more used to English football. He came from the Bundesliga or the second Bundesliga. Good player in there, 100%. Just needs a bit more time to develop. And I don't know if we'll get that game time at Forest currently, but 100% needs some game time. So I think a loan will do him a lot of good. And then we've got Alex Moreno on loan from Aston Villa, and he has become a key player since coming in at the start of the season. Yeah, we've been after this lad for about 2 years, I think, before we finally signed him this season, and he's looked good. He's looked very good. And, you know, he really brings the atmosphere, gets involved with the fans as well, with the fist pumps at the end of the match as we win. So, yeah, he's got a chant now as well. Big fan of Alex Moreno. Do I think we'll sign him permanently? Probably not. I hope we do, because he has class, but I think we're already looking at another player in that position, so I don't really know. But yeah, key player at the moment, very good. Willy Bolly. This is a tough one, because Willy Bolly, he's a good player. We've not seen him this season because we've got stacked defensive players, but I love him. I do like Willy Bolly. He's a solid player, 100%. And then we've got Ola Aina. Has to be starting, nailed on. He's been brilliant this season. An amazing free transfer. We need to get him locked down to a longer contract as soon as possible. He brings the vibes, he puts in the performances. He's just a great guy. Big fan of Olaina. Yeah, so this is Zach Abbott, academy graduate who's been placed in the first team. Hasn't made any Prem appearances as far as I'm aware this season. But he definitely started with Omar Medele in the Carabao Cup, and he looks good. He is a very solid player from what we've seen of him, and we obviously have faith in him, promoting him to the first team from the academy, but he's just not had the game time he needs to really show that in the Premier League. So I do think a loan would be the best bet for him. We definitely don't want to sell him because the ceiling is very high for this guy, so definitely get him on loan, get him some game time, and he'll develop much more than he can at Forest with the limited minutes. Obviously, it's good to be around the first team, and that is valuable experience, but also being in a first team where you're going to get game time is also going to be very important, and unfortunately, we can't offer that at the moment. Get him to a championship side or maybe a top of League One team, get him some valuable experience so he can really build on those skills and watch him flourish. Ibrahim Sangare, unfortunately, has been injured for a majority of the season, only played a few games this season and last season, to be fair, and a lot of people have written him off because, you know, we did pay a large fee for him and he's just not really delivered, which is completely fair. But he is the 6 we need, I think. We could use Sangare, quite frankly, and unfortunately he's just been injured, so we haven't got to see that. I don't think we should sell him because there's definitely a good player in there, and he'll definitely be adapted to the Premier League and to English football now. It's just getting a good run of games from him, which it looks like at the start of the season. I was very happy to see that, and unfortunately, he's been ill, been injured, but as soon as he comes back, we're going to be cooking. Elliot Anderson. I think he should be nailed on, but he's more of a key player. Just from how Nuno sets up his side. Actually, he's missed a few games through injury. Yeah, key player. Now, from his performances, he's been brilliant this season. Big fan of what he can do, but he's got Morgan Gibbs-White for competition in his preferred role, which is going to be very hard to shift. And when Morgan was injured, Elliot Anderson stepped up and showed that he could perform in that role as well. So he is a very good player, and we do try to play him and Gibbs-White together, and it works. We're getting the results, and we definitely missed him when he wasn't in the side. Yeah, you know what? He's nailed on. He has to be nailed on. He's a great player. Morgan Gibbs-White, again, nailed on. He's our talisman at the moment. Really drags the team forward, and without him or Anderson, we just weren't getting forward enough, and it really showed in our results as well. But with these two back, we've shown a lot more positive play. We go forward a lot more, and it's just nice to see. And Gibbs-White nailed on because he is a quality player. Not been at his best in the previous weeks, but I think that goal against United will take a lot of weight off his shoulders, and we'll see him perform to the level we know he can because he is a very good player. Nico Dominguez, key player. Is he? Maybe a squad player. It's tough with Dominguez because he's a good player. He does the work he needs to in midfield, but he's got a lot of competition in the midfield. I think he's a key player. His performances have been decent. He doesn't start that many games. He started against City, I think it was. but no one really looked good in that game. I think squad player's apt. He's good. He's got potential to be a key player, but we don't use him enough to really give him that ranking, I think. So squad player, but he's good. James Ward-Prowse. This is a tough one. And he's on loan, so we can't exactly sell him in return, because I think James Ward-Prowse should get back to West Ham, unfortunately. Yeah, so I wasn't the biggest fan of the transfer initially. Wasn't really sure what we were doing bringing him in. And to be fair, in those first couple of games, he actually looked pretty good. I was like, okay, yeah, he's a good player. I can see why we've brought him in. But I just don't think he offers what we need anymore. We've not scored that many set pieces that he's been involved in. Now, it's not to say James Ward-Prowse is a bad player, because he's not. But I just don't think he's what Forest need, really. And we could really, free up that loan spot for a player that we could use. Someone that would be more useful. Maybe like an Evan Ferguson, for example. Maybe that's wishful thinking on my behalf. But of the two loanies we brought in, of Alex Moreno and James Ward-Prowse, one of them has performed a lot better than the other. Ryan Yates is a key player. This man is wonderful. He's come up through the Forest Academy, played in all 4 divisions of professional English football, and scored in the Premier League as well. And he bleeds Forest. He's pure Forest. And his levels have just been going up and up and up. He's shown that he can adapt to the Premier League and play well, which he does. But sometimes he doesn't have his best game, which is fine. Every footballer, they're not going to have a great game 100% of the time. I think he gives away fouls too quick, too easily, and also gets fouled too easily, which results in the free kicks and things not being given. And I think that can hinder the team more than it helps. Now, don't get me wrong, this guy is a warrior. He will fight for any ball, and he loves to rattle some of these world-class players just by locking them down. And he does that role very well. There could be players that do a better job than him. Maybe Ibrahim Sangare in that CDM role would be better. I don't know. The jury's still out on that one. But for now, key player. I do love Ryan Yates. Danilo, unfortunately, injury as well. Had that terrible injury in, I think it was the first game of the season against Bournemouth. And yeah, just been sidelined since. Now he is in training with the squad, which is really good news. So we should see him return towards the beginning of next year. We don't want to rush it though. He's a good player. Really good player in there. I think when he returns from injury, when he gets fully fit and firing, will look really good, because he could fill in a role that we're missing. Can't wait for him to be back. And then we've got Awoniyi, currently squad player. Now, Taiwo was originally brought in to be the man leading the line of Forest in the Premier League, and unfortunately, injuries have really hindered that. He went on quite the run last season, scoring quite a few goals in consecutive games, but he's never really hit those heights since, and this season, he's just not been the same player. Now, yes, he is coming up from an injury, which is understandable. We kind of fucked up his recovery on that, and, he's not to blame for that. But he's just not hit those heights that he should be hitting. And when he's on the pitch, he's not looked too good, I'm not going to lie. There have been some flashes with him recently. He's been involved in the games more, which is good to see. And I'm sure he'll score a goal soon. But Chris Wood is keeping out of the team because Chris Wood is in some amazing form at the moment. Originally brought in as a backup to Awoniyi. Taiwo, currently a squad player. I do hope he gets better for him, because I do like him as a player. And he offers a very different sort of striker to what Chris Wood is, which is what we need. But currently, not seen enough from him. And then another nailed on Chris Wood. Has to be Chris Wood. The man is our top Premier League goal scorer. Scoring goals for fun. 10 in 15 or something like that. Crazy. Love him. What a man. What a player. He has to be nailed on. Not sure how he missed against Man City. But other than that, quality player. Callum Hudson-Odoi, key player. He's kind of gone off the boil recently. But he still puts in the performances most to all every game, I think. Some of his games are quieter than others, and he's not scored in a fair few matches, but he's a good player and he keeps trying. I wish he'd start firing more from outside the box again, like he did at times last season, which often resulted in a goal instead of trying to cut in. But other than that, he's very good. And then we've got Jota Silva, or Jota Silva, however you want to pronounce it. And I really like this man, honestly. It's the Portuguese Grealish, and I like him. I think he does a really good job. He's currently been starting games as well, and he looks really good. Always trying to get the ball, just in general. And sometimes that leads to silly fouls being committed, which we have seen recently. And I wish he'd cut out that aspect of his game. But other than that, he's a really good player, does what we need, And he's coming for Elanga, and I think he's made the position his own, to be honest, because Elanga's not been that good this season. Speaking of Elanga, so it hurts to say, because I think Elanga is a good player. There is a good player in there, but he's just not been good recently. This season, to be honest. And it almost seems like he's not interested in playing. Now, this is very heavy speculation on my part, but Newcastle win for him in the summer, and it almost seems like his head's been turned by that. You know, last season he was cooking, and this season's just not been the same. Now, he probably just needs a goal to get his confidence up, and fair enough. I don't know where that goal's coming from. He doesn't look like the same player he did. Now, I like Anthony Elanga, don't get me wrong. This is not me ragging on him, but he's just not been that good. I think that's fair to say. And then we've got Ramon Sosa, who is a squad player, in my opinion. I do like Sosa. He offers a lot when he comes onto the pitch, often as a substitute. Scored his first Premier League goal already, which is good going. And he's really adapted from the Argentinian leagues. So, fair play to that man. I don't think he's got the skills needed to make it as a key player just yet. He's got the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi ahead of him. But he is a very good player. He does some nice link up with Jota when they play. And I like what I'm seeing. He needs more game time. And I think he'll get that in the Cups, the FA Cup. Did play in the Carabao Cup as well and looks very solid. So, yeah, I like Sosa. Bitches love Sosa. And I do too. And finally, Emmanuel Dennis. Get him out of here. I was part of the small few that actually thought Emmanuel Dennis could do a number for us this season. Don't know why I thought that, but I did. And he's not played a minute of football for us this season. There's a good player in there. There's no doubt about that. But I just don't think we're the right team for him. And he should go to a team where he's going to get more game time. Don't know why he's still part of the squad, to be honest. I'm surprised we didn't sell him in the summer, really. He shouldn't be part of the team if he's not part of the plans. Maybe no one wanted him. Who knows? But yeah, as much as I like Dennis, he needs to go. So yeah, that has been my ranking of the current Forest 24-25 Premier League squad based on their performances this season. And I think it's pretty fair. May have been harsh on a few players, but I wanted to make it as comprehensive as possible because the original version I saw on Twitter didn't have enough tiers for my liking. So we've kind of separated things up to make it look a bit more appealing and to make things make a little more sense. And I'm pretty happy with my ranking, to be honest. Yeah, there's nothing I'd really change. I think they've all been fair, given my reasoning. I think it all makes sense. I'd like to hear what you'd think. I could say maybe a few players swapping places, but this is my opinion at the moment. I think I'm going to stick with it. I've been O2GT. Hope you have enjoyed. We'll do another one of these videos towards the end of the season once any winter signings have been given the time to play football. And we'll look at what the impact was on the squad as well. I think we're going for a striker. That seems like the most important place for us to fill at the moment. You know, Chris Wood is firing. Very good. But I think we need another striker to bring in who's a bit younger than Chris Wood, because he's not getting any younger. And I think a younger striker could learn from Chris Wood and also challenge him for a starting berth. But I don't want to sell Chris Wood. I love Chris Wood. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.